So it'll tell me when we're live, but we're live.
Yay, that was fast.
I know, it's so nice. I really like this setup. Okay, so we've got about 2 more minutes.
Okay.
We'll just wait, we can just chat a minute. I'll say hi in the chat box. If you guys are already out there watching, please say hi in the chat box. We'd love to hear from you. So it'll tell me when we're live. What's that?
Nothing. I had YouTube pulled up and it was you talking. I turned it off.
Yeah, I know. It's like there's been a couple times I've forgotten to hit mute on the YouTube side.
Mm-hmm. Well, I sent the link to my mom and I posted it on my Facebook page. So if anybody wanted to watch it, so.
Yay!
Yeah,
that'll be great. And what's so nice about this format is it just automatically records it and puts it on the channel.
Mm-hmm.
So within like 5 minutes of us ending the stream, it's just its own video in the index.
Cool.
So, yeah, it's really neat. Okay. So what's the weather like there? I've been doing that lately while we've been waiting to get started. We're in Tennessee. You want to tell everybody who's watching that you are?
Well, Kentucky. I'm in Elizabethtown.
I knew that. Kentucky.
You're close, Devon.
Wrong state. Sorry, where did you say in Kentucky?
Elizabethtown. Isn't that the cutest
I always
name?
have Tennessee on the mind. Well, I always have Tennessee on the brain with you because I know that you love Tennessee.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's been really wet and cold.
Really?
Still, yes. Like today we are finally in the 60s, but I mean, I guess it's been in the 60s, but with it being wet, it just feels kind of chilly, but I'm glad it's not 90 yet. So,
Oh, it's at least 90 here, I think. Humidity. You remember San Antonio well, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. Yep.
We've had some cool mornings. We've had some, you know how it is in the spring down here where it's those like really awesome days.
Yeah,
it's some
that's the best time.
So, okay, well, we're at noon here, 1 o'clock your time. So I think we should go ahead and get started. Sound good?
Okay.
All right. Well, hi and welcome everybody to the season finale of season 1 of Devon's Chat. I created these chats to help everybody learn in a safe place in their home about all the amazing different modalities that are out there, whether it's different types of healing or energy work, or in Alyssa's case, organic skincare. My guest today is Alyssa Fortenberry. She is a very good friend of mine and a longtime friend of mine. She is the creator of an amazing organic skincare company that I actually love her products and use them as well. And she is also a photographer. If you visited my website, she's done several of the photos on there. She's done lots of family photos for me over the years, and she's really talented. And then she's also an artist. So we're going to be talking about everything that she does, but also what got her into all of that today. So I'm super excited to hear about her journey. But Devon Duerr, I'm your host. I'm an intuition teacher, speaker, and writer, and I'm also trained in angel communication and animal communication with training in energy work. I'm a Reiki master. I have training in scalar wave method and then emotional freedom technique, also known as tapping. And doing all that studying and training to really incorporate it into what I was already doing, found that sometimes our time opening up to reaching out to certain people or trusting certain people or committing money to certain things. And so I think I'm hoping that with this forum, these Devon's chats, if you haven't had a chance to check out some of my other ones, we have some really other great interviews on the channel as well, where you can experience and see that they're human and they're, probably a lot of things that you can relate to. So, and if you're here live, I would love it if you could say hi in the chat box, or also feel free to ask questions, because our lovely moderator, Kelly, is here today, and she will be keeping an eye on the chat box so we can answer any questions you might have. One more quick thing is, since a lot of people have been having internet issues, and I happen to be one of them as well, where we are with my service, if for some reason the feed gets disconnected, please hang in there. We will log right back on, because we plan to have plenty to talk about. So that all being said, welcome, Alyssa. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So can you tell us a little bit about yourself? And, I want to hear everything. How did you get into this? If you want to go all the way back to the beginning, what led you to what the work that you do now?
Okay, so I am a mom of 4 girls, aged 12 to 5, and then I'm a wife. Maybe I should have said that first. To Andy, and he's great. He's military, so we have a really happy life. We our girls are homeschooled, and that has allowed me to a little bit of freedom within my day to do things. But when they were really little, I needed something that was mine, and that's where photography came from. And so I remember I would go and do a shoot, I would leave it, and I would just feel alive. And so it was something that I stuck with because it just gave me this little bit of freedom for, something for me. So a lot of my hobbies seem to have become my work, I guess you could say.
I love that, because your passion
Yeah.
shine through in your work. When I first met you, I saw that with you immediately. So continue. Go ahead.
Yeah. So that's where photography came from. So I have done that since I got my first camera, which actually wasn't a DSLR, but that's when I started to shoot. It was before Kenzie was born. And then just taking pictures of the girls as they were little. When Avery was born, I got my first DSLR, and that's kind of when my photography journey really started. So, but it is fun to look back, Devon, at blogs and stuff from when Kenzie was a baby. So I feel like I was already kind of being prepared for for that journey. So let's see. Okay, so skincare, that came from we started studying about food in 2009, and just changing a lot of things. Actually, Andy was deployed. I remember this. It was 2009, and I started buying some books about farms and the differences and how things were done forever ago and how they were done now. Well, at that point. And it blew my mind because, you go to the grocery store and you kind of think, oh, things are the same. The milk is the same. The corn is the same. And it's not. It's all produced so differently now. And so that was such a wake-up call to me. And so a long way down the road, so we'll say 2009 is when my food journey started. But in the end, that did lead me to the organic skincare stuff. In 2016 is when I opened the skincare business. So, which I didn't actually plan to sell my skincare. I really was just making it because I had 4 daughters, and I knew they're going to use, skincare, and they're going to wear makeup most likely if they want. And so I wanted a good product to be able to use for myself and for my girls. And I just had friends who kept asking for me to sell it. And so that's where that came from. So didn't even intend to sell it. And then it became a really fun, cool business. So, I guess the journey's been kind of neat how it's transformed. And I still remember when I opened on the first day and it did so well. And I thought, oh, well, maybe this is really a thing. So I think a lot of people are looking for, that type of thing. But
absolutely. Well, I remember having a lot of discussions with you because it was around the same time that I was studying a lot about the foods and changing the way I ate a lot, with checking the ingredients and looking at the source, like you said, and trying to eat super clean. And I remember you and I talking about that quite a bit, and that you said that ultimately when you started studying it, you started wondering, okay, now that I've figured out what I want in my body and what I don't want to put in my body, what about the outside, right? I mean, how is that being affected? Yeah. And then so I think it is just, you've always been such an inspiration to me that you homeschool your 4 daughters, and then occasionally Andy's deployed and you're still doing your passion. I've always seen you still follow your different degrees, but can we back up a little before that? What did you do before you had daughters? And what made you decide to take all this on?
Well, okay, so I got a marketing degree, and then we moved right after that. He was in Korea for a year when I finished up my marketing degree. And then where we ended up, if I was going to do anything with marketing, I was going to have to drive a good distance to a big city. And I just didn't want to do that. We were newly married, and he had been gone for a year to Korea. You know, we were apart, and I wanted to be a wife. And so I ended up going back to school for education, because I figured, well, wherever we live, if I want to teach, I could probably teach. So that's what I did. So I went to school. And then I taught for 4 years after getting that degree. And as I was in it, I really got a little burnt out. A lot of the testing and the things that have come from teaching just wore me out. The kids were great, and the parents were great, and my administrators were great. So I don't have any complaints. I was seeing a lot of that. And so I ended up pregnant with Kenzie, and I thought, okay, this is a good time to stay home. And it's funny because I never thought we would homeschool. So that was never really our plan. And so I don't know, we just ended up going this route, you know, with teaching them. Once she got close to kindergarten, we felt like that was the way we needed to go. And so I had already started with photography at that time. Photography. Did you hear me?
You heard me earlier.
So I followed that route for a long time. I mean, I did the picture thing for a long time. And I guess that's probably where, like, you know, I know we were going to talk about nature. That's probably where I really connected with nature. And I feel like a lot of my like centeredness and, you know, things like that comes from nature. And, you know, I mean, most of my pictures were outside, so I didn't do a lot of indoor photography. It was all outside. And so a lot of my inspiration would come from that. And, so I don't know, it's been a cool journey. It's definitely kind of turned, and, you know, now it's formed into this thing. I don't know what box it fits in, but but when
that's what I've always loved. I've always loved following you, because I'm like, what is she doing next? You know, you've got your blog, you've got all these different amazing photos. You've done animal photography, some amazing stuff with that. You took pictures of my animals and me. But I want to talk a little bit about how you did the food, and then you started wondering about the skincare. And then didn't you also start looking and studying a lot more about like homeopathic remedies and things like that?
Yes. So that came later, quite a bit later. And I had an incident happen, which took me in that direction. So when Addie how old was she? We were back in Texas the third time. Mm-hmm. So she was probably 2.5. And Devon, are you there? Devon.
Hey, Alyssa. So
hey.
This is Kelly, the moderator. Hang on just a second. Devon will sign out and sign right back on.
Okay. Do we stay on
do we? Okay. Keep talking. She'll sign right back in.
Okay. All right. I'll keep answering that question then. So, well, Kelly, do you think I should wait for her?
No, I say keep going. She'll come right back on. Keep going.
Okay. So my Addie was about 2.5, and she had a horrible ear infection. It was so bad, and we were seeking conventional medical care, and it just wasn't working. I was trying antibiotics. Whatever they told me to do is what I was doing. And my husband was in the middle of his second doctorate, and I had just started my business. It was kind of a crazy time. So, but my mom intuition said, this is not the route to keep going. And so we were into the third antibiotic, and her little body was having 4 serious side effects to the drugs. And they wanted me to keep giving them to her. Like, her skin was yellow and her nails were falling off. I couldn't keep going. So I stopped. so I ended up at that point just figuring out what I could figure out. And it was pretty scary, but I ended up with a chiropractor who was a big help. And then later on, after we got past that, I ended up at a naturopath's office, and those antibiotics had caused a lot of damage for her. So I don't know. I found a lot of help with natural doctors, and in the way that they treat, and that's been really good. So, Kelly, you there?
Alyssa, can you hear me?
Hey, there you are. Okay.
Yeah, I got that popped back in, and I guess the stream didn't stop, which I'm very grateful. I thought that for sure it stopped the YouTube stream, but I'm glad you kept going.
We didn't stop. We kept going.
Thank
She was
you.
just talking about her mom intuition that kicked in and told her what the doctors were telling her wasn't right. So you can pick up right there.
Yeah, I completely remember this like it was yesterday, Alyssa, even though it feels like now, I mean, we talk about time, it was a long time ago. But I remember you just saying, I can fix this, Devon. I know I can fix this. So did you, I didn't hear, did end up finding a doctor? Did you mention that?
So at that point, I was seeing I took her to see a chiropractor, and and then I was doing some other things that, really that I had found in medical books at my house, because I have my own library. And then,
because of Andy,
a lot
right?
of that stuff worked.
Yeah.
Well, no, those are mine.
Okay.
Too.
Yeah.
Now mine are usually based in food and nutrition, but I have some that are body, function and stuff. But it was scary because I was going against what a doctor had recommended. And I remember one of those appointments when I was questioning the doctor, because here I'm watching my daughter's, skin turn yellow. I know what that means. Like, I know that's not good, and I know what that's related to. And, so I have every right as a parent to ask questions. And I remember the doctor almost screamed at me, and I thought, this is not good. Like, I should be able to ask a question, and then anyway, so moving to more holistic forms of care. We've done naturopaths, and we've done chiropractors, and we've also used functional medicine doctors. And I will say I've never had any experience with any of them that was not just completely encouraging. And we're treating symptoms. We're not treating just symptoms. We're treating the body. We're treating a whole person. And we're breaking down what the issue could be. And we're looking at your nutrition. Like, if you are, if you're just trying to treat symptoms and get those symptoms to go away, well, you're not getting to the root of a problem. So we're just putting a Band-Aid on a problem. And so that's really why, once I realized this other care existed, I was really excited. And I felt like I could ask questions.
Yes.
So.
And you took charge. You took charge of your own family's health. And you did take that holistic approach, because over time, that's essentially what you did was, balance the body, the mind, and the spirit all together, from the inside out and from the outside in, with the organic skincare and what you're putting on your body as well. I just, you're so intuitive, and you trust yourself on that. Is that something you've always found is kind of been easy for you to do, or did it take going through these experiences to help build that trust?
Well, I feel like as a young mom, I probably, I'm thinking back. Okay, so I have a couple of examples that just popped into my head. I guess I always have been. I've always been a little feisty. And I always felt like that I am my children's voice in some ways, especially when it comes to healthcare and stuff like that. You walk into an office and they want to do these things, and it's just a routine. Well, so I have questions, and I'm going to ask, and I feel like the child doesn't have a voice, in a lot of those situations. And so So yeah, like I remember being warned that Kenzie was going to have blood work done at 12 months, and on post they only took it from their vein, and I was like, what's the point? Anyways, that's not bad, but it was just, I remember feeling like I'm gonna at least ask a question before something happens.
Yeah.
So I guess so, but I do think that I've gone through as a woman a period of maybe my voice being silenced a little bit, and so I kind of feel like maybe as adults we have to find our place and learn, like, you know, when it's appropriate for things like that, and when you are to listen, and then, you know, and you speak from an educated place, and then someone will respect and listen. And so I do feel like I've gone through a journey like that, and it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so now I feel confident when I speak or when I ask a question, you know, and I know my motive is good, it's in my kids' best interest or my family's best interest. And so
Yeah, I love what you said about the listening part of that too, because that can be so powerful, because it's not just listening to the information that's being delivered to you or that you're hearing somebody tell you, but also listening to your inner voice. And does
yeah.
this feel right? You know, and trusting, do I trust this information I'm getting? I mean, there's so much out there, right? We can go
Right.
online and just Google for her, and you have to really trust the information that you're getting. I know that when we would first do family sessions with you, when my two daughters were super young, I would be pretty stressed about these, and probably a lot of other moms relate. You know, it's bad enough you got to get yourself ready to be on camera, but you got to get the whole family ready to camera.
Oh,
and
yeah.
by the time that's done, oh, it looks like my internet's getting low, so if you lose me, I'll be back.
Okay.
Don't go away. But that, I remember the stress of that. You know, by the time you're all ready, one of them is ready for a nap and one of them needs a snack. And, you know, it's like, it's like 5 minutes of pictures. And you were so good with the kids. And I mean, you had your own, but you were good at like taking the break and letting the energy just breathe a little, and let the kid run off and have some goldfish for a minute and then come back. And so after working with you the first time, that really took all the stress away from me for the actual session, which then led to happier kids and happier husband for the photo shoot, because mom's not stressed, you know. And I know it still happens, but I remember like you had this real ease about you, like, we're gonna get these pictures, we're gonna get them, you know. And of course, being outside was grounding, and being with the, you know, being with the animals. And I never thought I could get a picture of my two cats and my dog together, but you made it happen. They all loved each other, but to get them all sitting and looking, and we did it. So
I remember it too.
yeah, that was such a fun session. I was so grateful to get that session with my animals, because they were my spiritual team, and they were all between the age of 15 and 17, and they all ended up passing the next year. So, or within the year. So it was kind of just, it was divine timing that I was able, you were just in town, you were already living out of town, and you came in and did that shoot with me. And it was, weren't you? Yeah, you had already moved. You were just in town for, I think, weren't you? Or is that right before you moved? And I was like,
that's right before I left.
That's right. For the third time. The third time you left San Antonio.
I know.
So yeah, that was so fun. I loved doing that. But I want to go back to what you said about how photography was something that was yours once you had girls, because I know for me, I did shut down a lot of the stuff that was for me when I had kids, because I was so excited to be a mom and I was all in as a mom. But you just feel like I don't have time for that. But the self-care is so incredibly valuable. And it's not just valuable for being a mom, it's valuable for your overall health. So what are some other things that you do for self-care? And is there anything new you've been doing lately that you've recently discovered with the quarantine and all that?
Well, I do have a hammock that I really like.
Like a regular hammock, or everyone's talking about these yoga hammocks now, so I want to look into those as well. But
no, I just saw one of those the other day. No, I have a blue one I bought for my birthday for myself like a couple of years ago, and it fits perfectly on two of our trees back in the back. But it's kind of hard to get away right now. Like we're even Ollie, our dog, he's like, "Are you guys going anywhere?" Like, I need a break.
Come on, what's going on? So how have things, this is a little off subject, but we can come back around to self-care because I want to ask you about your products. But how have things changed for you with homeschooling? Because I think a lot of people assume that people who are already homeschooling, that this is a breeze for them. But I don't think that's really the case, because you guys were out and about, right? I mean, you guys love to hike and do different field trips.
Mm-hmm.
So what else changed for you?
We definitely are homeschoolers, but we aren't home a whole lot. We take stuff, we go, we'll go hike, we pack our books and our stuff, and we'll go do math at the park, or, and all the parks are closed. And so, in fact, like the forest where we do a lot of our nature day stuff, I mean, everything is closed. So even for homeschoolers, quarantine is different. It's not the same. You can't do, like we have things that break up our week with our groups that we hang out with. And all that stuff's very important. So it has been very different even for us. Now, one perk is that we do have our curriculum, and we know what we're learning. And so that's good. That's been the same, but we've even added in a few new things, but that's by choice. So my girls are definitely ready to be back with their nature group and with their friends. And so a little bit of that is starting to happen, but Avery's birthday was a few weeks ago, and we went around, we made goodie bags because we would have had a little get together. Right. So we made goodie bags. We went around and we dropped them off at each house, and she was so excited. It was so sweet to see all the kids together because they haven't seen each other,
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that was the best birthday present for her because she got to see people. I think a misconception though about homeschooling is that you are always at home, and we really aren't. There are a couple days a week we may stay, but we take it and go. And like the library, we haven't been able to go and visit the library, walk in and pick out books. That's something. So
I miss the library for sure. What does a typical day look like for you if you're running your business and you're trying to maybe schedule some photography in there? Do you have what could you walk us through like a typical day of homeschooling? And
yes.
Can you hear me okay? I'm hearing something in the
background.
You
are. Okay. There you
are. Go ahead.
Okay, so I get up at 5:30 every day, and I get started. I make Andy's lunch and his breakfast, and then he's taken care of. And I drink coffee and kind of get my day going. Usually I do a little bit of painting in the morning and any kind of work stuff that I need to get done before the girls wake up. They do sleep good. So usually they're asleep till 8. And we don't get started with school until 9. So 8 o'clock, they're up, breakfast. And then we work through, we do take a break. We take a lunch and play break, like 12 to 1:30. So they get outside and I make lunch, we have lunch, and then we get started back. At 4 o'clock, we have a 1 hour quiet time. So for all of us, because they need time, we're always together. So they need a minute apart. And Addie's 5, so she doesn't really fall asleep anymore, but I figure if she's tired enough, she will. But that's a work block. So I do time blocking. So like Mondays, I work on commissions, any kind of paintings that I'm doing for people. And then Tuesdays I do something, and then Wednesday, you know what I mean? So, so I time block. So like Thursdays I do photo shoot days. And, so that's how I get it in. If it's not super organized and planned, then I miss it and it won't get done. So I figured out that if I can plan like something different each day, then I will get this work done.
Yeah. And you're a journaler, you're a fellow journaler, right? I mean, we've talked a lot about how we use our journals for a long time. And I remember when you first started doing it, using it for your whole life and everything that you went into your journal. I mean, you went and got the big one, the big journal,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
You had like one for, didn't you have one for school and then one for your other planning? But, you know, I love the idea of blocking that out and just knowing the days you're doing that. I find that that helps me even with my kids in the public school system.
Yeah.
But for my own work, knowing like this is an errand day and this is a day that I'm going to be running them to things. So maybe I need to get up earlier or do something later that night and block it all around. And that provides a lot of growth for me in being able to maintain it all. But with the quarantine, obviously with us not doing all the runarounds and stuff, I still have to have my schedule. I still need to block out times for creative work and what are they doing and how are we moving our bodies and all those things. So yeah, I know everybody's looking forward to things opening back up more so we can get out, but I've always admired the way that you do that. You know, you're a family that goes and does things and yet you still do all these other things. So that's really neat. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your organic skincare. So I use your organic skincare. Love it. I purchased your makeup products as well. So can you talk a little bit about, I guess, what, did you start off doing makeup or did you start off doing skincare and then add the makeup?
Well, the first thing I made was sunscreen. I was playing with, I'll tell you this because this is funny. You'll get a kick out of this. Andy would come home the summer that I really got into this. Well, it was April when I started. And so he would come home from work each day and I would have like the kitchen would be blown up with all this stuff I was trying to work with. And so he called me his little chemist. He's like, what did you make today? You know, here's salve, here's lip balm. But sunscreen was the first thing I was trying to make. And I remember I was learning, at first I learned about ingredients. And to begin with, before I made anything, I studied probably 200 hours. It was crazy, like just the research that went into it about ingredients and how they worked together. And because everything, you know, works together differently. And so that was first. And then I would get in the kitchen and play in the afternoon. And then these things would start to evolve. And then I'd kind of work with the recipe a little bit and change it up. And then, it'd be better. And so that's how it came about. And anytime I would go and try to buy something for myself, like I'd go to Target and I would look at the ingredients on the backs and I would just like, that was my inspiration for sure. Like I thought, well, I'm not putting this on my kids. In fact, some of the baby products are some of the most scary and most toxic. And so anyway, so that was my inspiration. I'm going to create something that, I can, because at that point I wasn't thinking of selling it. So I can put on my kids.
Yeah.
Because they were little and and we were hiking so much. We were always outside and we were at 7,000, feet above sea level. So we were up there for altitude. So
you were in Denver, right? You were in
Colorado Springs.
Yes.
Yeah. So, so it was definitely a work in progress, but the skincare stuff came first and then the makeup came after that. So,
yeah. And then, so did you decide might as well do the makeup if I'm doing this? Or, I mean, was there product stuff in the makeup too? Like when you're like, this is bad. And
yeah,
what are the top things that I know? I mean, I know from knowing you that the things that you say to look out for in a product, but what are some of the top things that you were like, okay, no-nos when you look at the back of an ingredient?
I think one of the easiest things to see, because it's on so many products, is if it says fragrance, because fragrance is kind of like, if you think about food where it's kind of like that little part where they can put all the stuff in that they don't have to list. So like natural colors or artificial colors or natural flavors, not colors, natural flavors. If you look at a food or a drink and it says natural flavors, that encompasses a lot of different things. And they don't have to list out what is in that group. So you don't really know. So fragrance is a lot the same way. And I'd say that one alone is probably one of the better ones to look for. Now there's the brand Native, which makes deodorant and soaps. And now they're branching out all kinds of things like toothpaste, and they use fragrance, and their fragrance is for essential oils. So, but they're one of the very few companies that is actually not a bad thing.
Right.
Most products, that is not a good thing. Triclosan is not good, and there are so many.
Yeah, I didn't mean to
like
list them all, but
but fragrance is a good one, Devon, to look for. Yeah,
because they can hide it so much under that, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
What about fragrances? What about perfumes? What about that?
Well,
is it the same
there
issue?
are more natural things that you can get that maybe made from essential oils, some things like that, but that smell good. They don't just smell like, I love the smell of tea tree, but not everybody wants that as their perfume. So I get it.
That's me.
I don't, if I use perfume, I have one from Soma that my mom gave me as a gift, and I love it. And if I use it, I put it on my clothing. And and so that's all. Like,
yeah,
that if I'm gonna use a perfume, that's what I do. I usually don't wear any, but
yeah, that's a really great tip. Well, speaking of tips, you've always given me lots of tips with makeup and skincare. So what are some of your favorite makeup tips or skincare tips that you tell people?
Okay, my favorite eye tip is for like a natural look is I take a little bit of liner and I just put it on the outside of the eye. Like, don't go all over. Don't enclose your eye. So it opens up your eye a little bit, but you have a little bit of definition. That's one of my favorite things. I'll tell you one more for eyes. If you do a matte color on your lid and you do a little bit of shimmer right here by your eye duct, that's another little natural eye thing. Okay, I'll tell you a skincare one too.
Yeah, I love these tips.
Scrubs are amazing. That is my favorite thing. That's probably one of my favorite products is I make one that's a brightening scrub, but there are so many scrubs you can find online. And if you do it gently enough, you really could do it every day. But I think scrubs, like with avocado oil, that's what mine's with. It like gives life to your skin. So that's my favorite skincare product.
Yeah, I used your scrub. I love your scrub, but I also like I love the different colors you have in your eyeshadow and your, because I can do a natural look with the stuff you have, or I can like dress it up a little bit and color in there and not feel like I'm just like some of the stuff you can buy at the store, just even the way it goes on, it just looks so I love that the minerals and the way that you use the essential oils in your products and stuff like that, it just feels good. It smells good. I used to really dread makeup on, but now I like doing it because I know it's totally safe. I'm not worried. Also, it's cruelty free, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of products out there that we have to worry about whether if they're properly being not being used on animals or anything like that. And there's just the fun of doing it because it's not something that feels so heavy and yucky on my skin. It feels light and good. So I'm going to be placing another order with you soon, by the way. Your store, you just recently reopened it, right? Were you closed for a little bit, or were you just reopening it with new stuff?
Yes, last March, I needed to step back and kind of look at everything. I was so busy that I couldn't create anything new, and I wanted to make a liquid foundation. And I would spend a little bit of time, but then I'd be inundated with orders. So then, I wouldn't be able to really work on that. So I needed some time to create and sometimes you just need like a refresher. Like, you need to remember why you loved what you did. And I needed that. I was just working. And it was great. Like, every time I get an order, once I am putting it in that box and I know who it's going to and I'm packaging it up, that's my favorite part. Like, I get to think about who it's going to, and it just makes me happy. Like that part is so cool. So
I always feel like I'm getting a present, even though I'm the one who ordered it. You make
yes.
me feel like I'm getting a present I ordered for myself. So,
Well, we don't always, like moms, we buy stuff for our kids, we buy gifts for other people. And so I feel like you've gifted yourself with that. So I always wanted people to feel like, I love when people tell me too, like, it smells so good. It's my favorite.
My other one that I love, and I have to sometimes hide from my daughters, is your rose water.
Oh, yeah.
That one I love, because I'll even do that sometimes as like a little perfume. I love doing it on my face, but that one smells really good. And Evelyn's always like, "Mommy, can I have some?" And I'll get you some. I think she would just go through a whole bottle in one day, though. So
yeah.
No, I love that. And so, okay, I have some other questions for you before, and I think we've got a few people watching. So if you are watching, you have any questions about her products or anything else we're talking about, we'd love to hear from you. So you can just put them in the chat box there, and Kelly will let us know if you have a question. But I wanted to talk to you, and those are great tips, by the way, Alyssa. Thank you. I love makeup tips. It's a fun thing. I'm not big into like the big ritual of, I want my bedtime routine to be fast. Yeah. I don't want to be in there for 15 minutes. And when I even getting ready, I want it. But I mean, I do what my look I do when I'm doing everything for makeup. I do in under 5 minutes. It's just so easy to use.
That's perfect.
So, 5 minutes I can spare. Okay, well, so you kind of told us like some of your favorite stuff that you do for self-love. Where else do you get inspiration? Like, I know you're a huge nature lover. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, or just where do you find a lot of your inspiration?
Well, okay, nature's definitely a big place. Like we'll do a family hike, and a lot of times I end up walking by myself. Like they will go ahead, and Andy's like the head of it all, and then the girls are following behind him. And I'll just kind of walk by myself, and just have some like, I kind of do that. Sometimes I feel like, oh, I probably should be up there with them. And then I'm like, no, it's okay. I'm with them all day. It's okay. Give myself a break.
Yes.
So definitely nature. And I run now. So running's been good for me. We've trained and ran several races. Some of them ended up having to be virtual, but that's okay. So, but that was really cool. We did 2 weeks ago, a 15K. And so it was really good, and I never thought I could do that. But when Andy was deployed, that was the thing I did for me. I was going to run with my running buddy, and because I had a partner, she's my neighbor. So it was just easy. I thought this is the one thing I'm doing. And so, if you, in that scenario when life was crazy and one parent with the girls, it was important to me, so we did it. Okay, so the other place is Pinterest. I love looking at Pinterest quotes. Like anytime that I need like a kick in the pants, or I need like, just like I need to like focus. I look at Pinterest and I just put in quotes, even funny ones. Like sometimes I just need to laugh, and that's where I go.
I love that. That's kind of what I tend to do is I go on YouTube and look up like funny animal videos, or just funny videos, or like, I love all the ones that are like spoofs on like office habits and like business ones, is just because of my background. But I'll go find like funny videos to make me laugh or whatever. And so I'm glad, thank goodness we have the internet with for those things in quarantine. Well, do you have any favorite books that you're reading now, or what are you reading now, and what are some of your favorite books that you always like go-to recommendations? And it can be fiction or nonfiction.
Okay, so one of my favorite books that I read beginning of last year, and I think it's a good one for someone who is looking for like health advice. It's called Eat Dirt, and it's by Josh Axe. It's really a cool book. And then I'm reading one right now that's called, it's about the smartest kids in the world and how they got that way. And it's really interesting. So it kind of takes the form on, it's not about schooling really, but it's about how you test, and testing in a different way than the norm of today. And teaching kids critical thinking, because that's what really plays in later in life, instead of just, some of, reading comprehension as much and stuff. It's been really cool. So anyway, what else am I reading? I'm always reading a couple books at a time.
I do that too. And I'll have like a fiction and maybe 3 novels and like go back to them. And
yes. Yeah. Oh, this is what I'm reading. Do you know who Brene Brown is?
The name's very familiar.
Okay. Daring Greatly. This book is so good.
Yeah.
Anyways, I knew there was another one that was really good. So
yeah.
that one's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, thank you. Well, and then what about for photography? Do you have any favorite photography books, or do you just get your inspiration everywhere for that too?
With that, so I really just am a documentarian with photography, and so when I see something, I just pick up my camera, so I don't really read anything I do follow some photographers on Instagram that I think are inspirational. There's a few, which I can't even think of their names because I don't really know them, but in my feed, I'll just see their pictures, and they all have kids in them. So that's kind of what I really like. Yeah. And I mean, my style has
you have a beautiful Instagram feed.
Oh, thanks, Devon.
I love seeing your photos.
Well, I really like documenting stuff about, like, I remember taking my camera into Target and taking a picture of Addie in the cart because I knew she was about to outgrow being in the cart. And so that's the part of it. That's why I stepped away from family photography for a bit, because I kind of wanted to see how I could go into less posing and more lifestyle. Of this documentary, lifestyle. Yeah. So I don't know. I am thinking about starting back up again with offering sessions. So we'll see.
I recommend everybody they book quickly. And I would love it if you would come to Texas and take some with us. I'm always up for that.
I'm always up to see you. So
yeah, come stay with me, and then we'll also have a photography. It'll be a work play vacation.
Yes.
Yeah, I do love that. We've done some of the lifestyle stuff with you, and those are some of my favorite photos with the kids. And, you kind of get to see in a way that you kind of forget about as they grow, because you see them every day and you don't always realize how much they're growing right in front of you. But with style or the like documentary doing things, it just brings so much to the moment that you go back and look at them. So I love about the shopping cart. I have a couple of those too. And there's something else I was going to ask you about that. It just went out of my mind because I started picturing all the ones we did. Like we did one of the girls running in the rain. Remember one?
Yes.
Where couldn't schedule the rain, but it was like, might as well. I love that one. Because you were totally willing to do stuff with me when we were outside with the girls. So I appreciated that.
That's why you were so much fun, because we just had fun with it, Remember the bubble bath? And
the bubble bath was so fun. I love that we had one of the girls like sinking in the bubbles, so it's like couldn't see anything but her face and then bubbles everywhere. Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones too. Yeah, no, I know, and I wouldn't have even thought to do of those things because you did. But when I go back and look at the post pictures now, like I used to go to JCPenney's before I met you, so we're just all sitting there with the fake background and look at this, and I'm like, okay, where's the ones that I did with Alyssa's? No, I'm so glad I have them, but it's just funny how it evolves, like once I met you, I was like, there's no way I'm going back to traditional family portraits. It's always going to have to be creative. We keep raising the bar.
I know.
Yeah. Well, can you tell everybody? I wanted to see. Ask you about. So I always ask about your favorite self-care stuff, and you talked like running and hiking and taking time for yourself, right? I mean, you do a lot, to maintain the balance that you have to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, one of my things too is I take a bath at night, and sometimes it's 2 hours long. And the girls know to stay, away, and so that's, I mean, it's not every night that long, but that's kind of my time. Like I do have time where, since during the day, I don't really have a lot of time to myself because the other time I'm working.
Mhm.
So, you know, I kind of have to find it. Like if we're going for a hike, then, you know, I stay back and I have those few minutes. And so I think it helps me to be in the moment because I know that in the next moment, I'm going to have to be answering 5 questions at one time, you know, and a lot of my day is spent that way where it's like, I kind of use the example of I'm a lazy Susan. I kind of just feel like people are just spinning me around, but it's not a bad thing, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
it's we're together and it's happy and it's good most of the time, and we're normal, so it's not always happy. But for the most part, like the girls are very happy and they're very well rounded. They, you know, they'll go climb a tree, but then they'll put on a princess dress, and so I like how they are coming about, you know, with life. But so I just kind of have to take these little chunks of time whenever I find them, and I enjoy coffee. So when I have a patio on the back that I enjoy sitting on, or the front porch. And um, so I may take, you know, 15 minutes and sit there and have a cup of coffee. And so I just really have to be intentional about the time. Like I don't really have any wasted time.
Right. But you do
So
have you do have time where you pause and you take care of yourself. You're
yeah,
doing something that feels good so that you're boosted into the next moment where you're being
right.
asked questions by 5 different people. So
And
uh,
like nothing's wrong with this, but like I don't really watch TV, you know. I mean, that would be someone's self-care. But so, you know, but then there's like that's an hour easily, 2 hours gone for a movie or something. And that's, you know, that could be someone's self-care. But
yeah.
like our TV rarely comes on. So, you know, you just think of ways that time goes, and
Do
I
you
don't know, time's fast.
do you use your journal for more than planning? Do you track your thoughts in there, or is it more a planning tool for you?
I do gratitude. I do budget. I do plan. I have like just different spreads. Like I have one where they're like daily paints. So like if I have ideas about things to paint, because okay, Devon, you're asking about inspiration. Like I seriously have inspiration all the time. I think like my brain just won't turn off. So I have to write these things down. You know, if I go and get in my bathtub and I don't have my notebook with me, I'm like, oh man, because I know I'm going to think of 10 things on sitting in here. Now where am I going to write them?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
What I love about doing that is you're actually you're writing them all down and making them like a visual. So then the ones that, you know, maybe are a better idea or maybe more doable, they kind of pop out of the page, don't they? I mean, that's what
yes,
I love about journaling and having it all in one place.
right. I do brain dumps a lot. Like if
Mhm.
I have a lot of thoughts, I'll do that and just, I mean, I just do it like a graphic organizer. I just, they go out, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I'll just set my timer and do that. And then, yeah, I pick out of there. Okay, I plug it into my week, you know, this is
Yeah.
when I'm going to do this. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've always been an inspiration with you with all that stuff. And I remember one time you did a spread. I don't remember if you posted it or you just showed it to me. You did like summer activities you wanted to do that
Oh,
summer.
yeah.
And you did one. Do you remember that one? And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I feel that. I did one. We did a lot of times we would go out of town for spring break, but one spring break we decided to stay home. And but we still like went to places in San Antonio that we never took the time to go unless we
Yeah.
had, like, usually the way it is in San Antonio, the only time I go to the Alamo is when somebody's in town that's never been, or the Riverwalk, somebody has never been. And we made it a priority to go do the ones that we loved. Like we loved going down to the historic Pearl and the botanical gardens, and like every day we did it that way, and we got so much done. I was like, not only was it cheaper than going on a trip, but I think we did more than we would have done on a vacation because you didn't have all the travel time. And that all came from just mapping it out in my journal and like feeling like, okay, this feels good. Let's do this today. So thank you for that idea.
You're
Kind of
welcome.
like a brain dump that's scheduled out. Well, I want to make sure everybody knows to get a hold of you. So what's the best place to find you? What's your website?
Okay, it's my name. So it's AlyssaFortenberry.com.
Okay, and that's where they can find your beauty care products, your makeup, your skincare, all that.
Yes,
And
from
then
the
you also have-
homepage, you can click on beauty if that's where you want to go. So
Okay, and then you also have a blog, and you have you have your photography side and your artwork, right? On there.
yes, all on one. Right.
Okay, great. And then what about on Instagram? It's at Alyssa.Fortenberry, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Well, I recommend you following her on there. She always has such fun pictures, and even Ollie, their pup, and I've gotten to watch him grow from a tiny little puppy. So even if you're just looking for inspiration for photography, but yeah, I love following you on there. So this has been so much fun. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this because, again, you are so scheduled and you are so busy, but yet you took this time for me. And so I really, really appreciate it. And thank you to all of you out there who have been watching. This was such a great way, season 1 of Devon's Chat. So thank you
Thanks
so much
for having me, Devon.
Oh my gosh, it was such an honor of mine, such a pleasure. So great to see your face. A lot of times we're texting and calling, so it's great to be on here doing this. So thank you for doing that, and give your beautiful girls a hug for me. Tell Andy hi for me, and you guys all stay well.
Okay, you guys too. Tell Evelyn and Aubrey hello. Okay.
And thank you, Kelly, for moderating. If you're still there, I know she had to jump, and we'll see you all for in my next video or the next season of Devon's Chat. So thanks again. Bye.
Bye.